and today we are going to talk about the truth about how your memories are keeping you stuck. Okay, a lot of times when we're feeling stuck, we have all of these thoughts and to dos, and sometimes it's like, I'm just not motivated, or I'm confused, or all this. And a lot of times that actually comes back to our memories. So we're going to dig into the truth about what our memories actually do. Before we do that, some of you probably have noticed that I've been MIA for a couple weeks now. I mentioned it in my community that I just had some like transitional phase of scheduling. And so I was like, hey, I need to work on figuring out the schedule before I come back on. So those of you in my community, thank you for giving me the grace for that. Um, I am slowly getting back on track. And I also want to say that um, I don't feel guilty about it and that it's okay. And so if you're feeling like you need to take a hiatus or a break from social media or any of that kind of stuff, like feel free to do that. Okay, so I'm back. Short story long, I'm back. So go ahead if you're watching live, go ahead and say hey in the chat or anything like that. I know sometimes my sound gets wonky, so if you're noticing that, I would love to know that. Also, so that I can fix it, right? So, how our memories keep us stuck, basically, right? So, let's talk about memories for a second. There's short term memory and there's long term memory. Short term memory is like our working memory, those are the things that we're doing very short term. So if you're solving a math problem and remembering the steps of where you're at, right? Like first I was in the ones, now I'm doing the tens, the numbers I'm using, those are short term memory. Once you're done solving the problem and you have the answer and you go on with your day, you're probably not going to remember. Okay, that's why a lot of times later in the day, you're like, what did I have for breakfast? I don't remember because that was part of your short term memory. Okay, or working memory. You use it and then you're done with it. Long term memory is what stays with you. Okay, right? That's why they call it long term. And a lot of long term memory is actually in our long term memory because there is an emotion attached to it. The more intense the emotion, the stronger the memory until the emotion gets so intense or the pain or anything like that gets so intense that you actually kind of forget the memory, if that makes sense. That's why a lot of traumatic events, sometimes you don't even remember everything. It kind of works in like a U or a bell curve. Our emotions are very intense, so our memories are very strong, and then we reach a plateau where our memories kind of fade because the emotion is so strong. But that's not even, most of us know that there's an emotion attached to memories. That's why we feel happy or sad or all of the emotions when we think about things that have happened in the past. That's part of what's keeping you stuck. But here's the thing about memories, the truth about memories that most people don't realize that really keeps us stuck. And that is your memories teach you an implicit lesson. Implicit just means like it's not direct. It doesn't just come out and say, hey, this is the lesson you're going to learn from this memory. It's implied. And a good example of this is if you like burn your hand on a stove or a curling iron or something like that, it's emotionally charged because it's painful. And your brain goes, we're going to put this into our memory of when you did this so that you don't do this again because we don't like the pain that it's caused. Right? And so the next time your brain goes, don't put your hand on the stove or careful when you touch that curling iron because I don't want you to get burned again. Okay. That can also happen mentally. Okay. If, say, when you were younger, you were trying out for a specific sport or you were studying for a test or something like that, where you were practicing and you're working hard and you were looking up to something and you have that disappointment. Maybe you didn't make the team. Maybe you studied really hard, but you didn't pass the test. And that was mentally and emotionally painful. Okay. That also gets put into our long term memory. And so the next time you go to do something somewhat similar, doesn't even have to be like very similar, right? Like just an opportunity, okay? Your brain is going to say, hey, remember that time that you tried out for soccer and you tried really hard and you didn't make the team? Do you remember that? Well, I don't want you to go through that again. This is your brain talking, right? I don't want you to go through that again. So that job interview that you're like getting yourself pumped up for, let's just not do that. Do you really want to find a new job and have to like go through the disappointment of trying really hard and then not getting the job, similar to your soccer tryouts? I don't think so. So, don't even apply. Right? And so you're stuck in the cycle because your brain is equating your past events and it's projecting it to the new events coming up because it's teaching you based off of those lessons, those implicit lessons that you taught yourself through those memories. So, so I hear my daughter crying. Ellie, I'm in the office.